Awesome. Okay, so let me just close that. Cool. All right. Welcome to another episode of Educators Can. We are excited to be here. We have been doing this now for, I don't know, it must be 5-6 months even. I don't know. But we're here every single week, 6:30 Brisbane time, 7:30 for the rest of Australia. Well, the East Coast anyway. And I am Nikki Leonti from Start Your Own Family Daycare, and I am joined by Kath Horsler from Simple Reflect. Hi, Kath.
Hi, how are you, Nick?
Good. I sometimes forget to introduce us and just assume that everyone just knows who we are because we're that famous.
We've just been crazy for so long, I know.
Right? And sometimes I just forget and I just launch into it and forget. So we have been around for quite a while in the family daycare sector, and we really hope that you'll enjoy tonight's segment. We've got a few really good questions. We've got a question about spare clothes and what policies are in place around that. We've got a question about whether we need to have a website. And our last question is actually what happens in the interview process when you're becoming an educator. So those are our three questions. Now, if you would like to ask any other questions, just leave a comment below and we will answer them. We'll either answer them live with you tonight or we'll jump back into the comments and answer them if we run out of time or if you're watching the recording. So feel free to answer those, to pop those questions below. And don't forget to share this video. If you've got educators in your little circle of influence there who you really think would get a lot out of tonight's video, then please click on the share button below. We'd love that because we want to try and get this information out to as many educators and potential educators as possible. Our real goal and vision for Educators Can is to inspire educators to become the best educators they can be and also feel supported, because this is, a sector, an industry that we felt just needed some cheerleaders on the side,
Pick me up.
We go through struggles each day and we want to help each other out. And that's why we put this together. So if you have comments, leave them below. And if you'd like to share, please share, click on the share button below. All right. Kath, you got this question sent in to you about spare clothes. So we'll start with that question.
It's just a question on what do educators do when they need spare clothes. And I thought I've seen it a couple of times now, and then for an educator to actually ask what I do. Now, and I'm talking when you go to a child's bag and there's nothing in there and they've soiled or they've, wet outside or whatever has happened. And we all know that kids do heaps of things. They always go through changes and changes of clothes and there's nothing in there. What do you do? And we've always had a really clear policy around this, our scheme. And I was flicking through my policies before going, I can't remember seeing it in here lately, but I know definitely when I started, it was a policy that we had that we needed a change of clothes for each of the sizes of the children that we had. It's just really clever just to have one size change of clothes of the children that you have. You can pick them up from Vinnie's, you don't need them, but you very rarely use them because most children do actually have a change of clothes in their bag. And one of the things that I do in my newsletter when I put it out is if it's a change of season, like if we're going from spring to summer, summer's here, please remember to update your change of clothes in your bag. Because often if you have a child that really hasn't used their change of clothes for 3 months or whatever, and you go there and they're too small anyway.
Yeah.
So, it's a really good idea to remind parents to actually, update their clothes that are in their bag into the correct season and make suggestions of what you'd like to see in there as well. And also have a spare change. It really isn't a big deal to have a set in your cupboard if they're needed. in saying that, but in summer, my bubbas really do spend a lot of time in a hat and a nappy. Like,
Yeah.
we're at home, we're family daycare. The children do not have to be dressed up to the nines to be with us and enjoying themselves and whatnot. Often they're much happier if they're stripped off. So don't be too harsh on yourself or strict with your children about making sure they're fully dressed and fully right, because you want them to be having fun and relaxed and know that if they want to take their shirt off, they can take their shirt off. Like,
Yeah.
what
Absolutely.
Did you have a change of clothes? What did you do, Nikki?
Well, this is what I did. And this is something that I learned from being a teacher of kindergarten, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Because 22 kids, we did have a bucket of spare clothes in like sizes 3 and 4 kind of thing. But we would ask parents at the start of each term to bring in a change of clothes. And we would have those in like, we'd have a plastic bag. So this would always be kept up high in the bathrooms. But you can also put this in like a storage cupboard or something at home for family daycare. We'd have a plastic bag, one of those Ziploc bags, you know, the bigger ones?
Yes.
The name on it. That would be, and then we'd put the spare clothes. So I did something very similar when I first started. And so when children started, I would get the parents to bring, and we would keep that at my place.
Yeah.
So that was in storage at my place. And so parents would still just kind of generally have a set of spare clothes in the bag anyway, but I knew I always had that. And so at this, you know, each school holidays, then we would I would just, you know, depending if we needed to update seasons or even sizes, because I mean, they different ages, you know, they can grow quite quickly.
They really can.
And then I'd send that back, and then I'd get a new set. And yeah, so that is a really simple option, especially if you have parents who regularly fail to have spare clothes in the bag. The other thing that we did is in summer, I got them to keep a spare, like an old set of swimmers at my place.
Yes.
Because, I mean, in Queensland, summer has started already, like in July.
Yeah, I'm still in my jumper and my trousers, and you're in your stuffy tops again.
I've actually got the aircon on as well. It's pretty warm tonight. So, you know, we have just an old set of swimmers that we would just keep. I always had older kids, so they weren't in the nappies, and they didn't always want to just hang out in their undies. Some did, and I didn't have any problem with that. But they'd just have their swimmers there, and we would just, you know, get changed into their swimmers to go and play under the sprinkler or whatever we were doing. So there are a couple of options to think about. Alternatively, going to Vinnie's and just getting, you know, a couple of shirts and shorts. I just go with kind of blue or green, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then just go shirts and shorts. And I wouldn't do one per size, like, because most of my kids are kind of all around the same size. So I'd just get a couple. I mean, it's usually only a couple of dollars for a bag of clothes at Vinnie's. It depends which ones you go to, but you know, it can be a great option as well. And then what we used to do at kindy, because sometimes those clothes would never come back.
Yes.
And that got really, really annoying, because then we wouldn't have the spares back. And so what we did is on the back of the clothes, we just wrote in big writing, kindy. So it would come back, because no one, the kids are running around with that at the playground. So that was, that's an option as well, to just write FDC on the back of the clothes, so that they will come back.
They'll come back. Yeah.
Because otherwise it will just get annoying, especially if this is a regular thing. So I would just say either go with that first option of going to Vinnie's and getting clothes, or, you know, set it up at home, where parents just bring in a spare set. Some parents may not want to do that. I don't know. We never had a problem doing that, but yeah, it's a good option, because otherwise you can get stuck.
Yeah, you really can. Yeah. And it's not nice.
No.
it's Murphy's Law. It's the only time that you don't want to be stuck without a change is the time that you will be. So set yourself up to, to have a win with that one.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So in the comments, I'm just going to quickly check our comments. But have you ever been stuck without a spare set? And what did you do? I mean, I haven't been stuck like that, so I'm not really sure what I would do. What would you do? What would you do if you were stuck?
If I was stuck out somewhere, I would probably borrow another child's clothes and then wash them at home. Wash them when we got back home, strip the child off and wash them.
Yeah,
I think that would be my option, but set yourself up to win so you don't.
Yeah.
I always take a spare set of clothes with me in the bag, even when we're going out, even for older children, because you can leave them in the car. If you're out and about, take a spare set.
That's a great option. Cool. And we've got a few people joining us live right now. Marilyn is there. Hi, Marilyn. And Bambi's Family Daycare. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, cool. All right. So keep those comments coming. It's always nice to see who's joining us live.
It is.
And I know the time doesn't work for a lot of people if they're, well, I do know we've got some people over in Western Australia, so I know it's like
yes,
kind of mid-afternoon for them.
I had a lady say that to me the other day. She said, it's very early for us in Western Australia. I was like, I hadn't even thought.
Yes, but I go to bed quite early, so
she's an early bird. I'm a night owl.
Yes. Okay. So the next question was about websites. So I had an educator who is fairly new contact me and say, is it really necessary that we have a website? Now, I have always advocated that you should have a website. And now I'm going to say why. If you have ever been to, if you've ever heard, like someone's mentioned a Chinese restaurant or takeaway store, whatever your favorite takeaway store is, it's open up down the road. Okay. So you go and Google them first to find out when they're open, what they're serving, whatever. And you want to know a little bit about them. You kind of want to check out their website. You can get a bit of an idea, a bit of a feel of the business based on their website, right? And that's just for a takeaway store. And so parents will Google you and your family daycare. And most of the time, unless they've heard rave reviews and you've been going for a very long time, you've got a wait list of an arm, length of your arm. Website, if you haven't had a website, it's clearly whatever else you're doing is working for you. But if you're fairly new and you're trying to build up that reputation, having a website can really help, because parents are going to Google you and your business. And if they find that you don't have a website at all, they may think, maybe they don't exist. Maybe this isn't real. And you can't rely on your scheme's website for referrals. Because quite often I've seen a lot of schemes websites, they're not up to date. The educator, they don't always make it easy to find the educators. Like the scheme is obviously trying to get enrollments, not necessarily promote their educators. So you can't always find a list of educators. And then if they do happen to find you, there's not really a whole lot of information. So if you have your own website, you can keep your information up to date. You can tell them exactly what your philosophy is, some images, when you're open, your contact number, and they can get that information so they can give you a call and come in. And they can get a bit of a feel about you and your business just from your website. Now, if you're thinking, oh my God, this is a whole nother expense, it doesn't have to be. You can build your own very basic website using, I always recommend Weebly, which is WEEBLY. You can go and check it out. You can get a free website up and running in like an hour or two. I do teach that in the Family Daycare Academy. There's like a training in there, and I show you exactly how to build your own website. It's really simple, and it allows you then to go and promote yourself. You could post the link to your website in social media. You can still have your Facebook page because that is different to your website.
Yeah.
A Facebook page is great. Like, we still want to have that. We want to have both because the Facebook page still doesn't allow you to stand out enough necessarily. Like with your website, you can really make it your own, and it makes you go up a level in professionalism. Do you agree with that, Kat?
Oh, I so do. It just, for someone to Google you and for your website, your Facebook page, your Care for Kids login, and your Family Daycare Australia blurb to come up, as for outcomes of their search, it just is like, okay, I'm looking at a professional here. I actually want to talk to this person.
Yeah.
If they Google you and they can't find you, it's like, oh, who else will they find while they're Googling? And, and there is, in some areas, there is a lot of competition. And that doesn't necessarily mean that there's, a huge demand or a huge availability. It just means that if you stand out, you'll be their point of call. You'll be the one that they want to talk to. And you want to know that if someone does Google you, that it's like, oh, okay, there's all these different logins. There's not just one. Like, I think it really does. It changes people's views of you as a professional.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And first impressions are huge, just huge.
And it really doesn't hurt. It will only improve your image. Do you know what I mean? Going to that effort for a couple of hours to build your website, or even paying someone a couple $100 to put like a really basic website together is never going to hurt. It's only going to improve, and it's going to allow you to stand out, especially if there's others around you aren't doing that. And especially if others are doing it, you don't want to be the one that doesn't have one, because then they're definitely not going to find you. So I really just advocate for having a website. It's not going to hurt. And don't put, don't have to put so much pressure. It doesn't have to cost you thousands of dollars to have it professionally done. It does not have to be the case.
And sometimes simpler is better.
Yeah, you just want to have some basic things. So for any educators, I'm just looking at the comments now. Any educators who have got a website, I would love you to pop a link to your website in the comments below.
That'd be great.
That could give us some inspiration for those who haven't got a website up yet, to see what pages they have up and all of that kind of thing, and get a few ideas. We have spoken, I mean, it was quite a few weeks ago, about the marketing element and having something that allows you to stand out. So what is your real point of difference? As an educator, it might be that you're Montessori, it might be that you like wooden resources, whatever your thing that makes you stand out, make sure that is emphasized on your website. That wants to be on your homepage, whatever it is that makes you stand out. Like Kath's real point of difference is your outdoor space, is your location, and that's,
they want to be able to feel it when they hop on your website. They want to be able to feel it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my thing. So leave those comments below. Let me just quickly check. It's oh yes, okay. All right, so Katie's just said, I just have the Facebook website. It is a requirement of our scheme lately. We have a whole social media policy. Interesting. It's been so good, but can't post everything on there. I'd love a private Facebook page also, which I can only add families, but not all have Facebook. Website sounds good, however, is when you don't have vacancies, then I don't want to be hassled by families all the time when I'm working. That is a good point, but you don't have to. You don't have to be answering the calls necessarily during the times that you're operating, you could even just have your email address there if that's what you'd prefer. Like if you've already got all your vacancies filled, just pop your email address up. Don't put your mobile on there.
Take your mobile off. If you're full, take your mobile off. Simple as that.
So that would be a really good option. Especially, my thing is, I want you to be actively marketing. Don't be waiting until you've got vacancies and then you're just like, oh my God, I've got to like do everything and I've got to be posting and doing all this. I don't want you to wait until you have vacancies to start marketing if you're already full. Keep that just ongoing. Just do a few posts every week. I have a guest joining me tonight. Just do a few posts every week to maintain that image. You can
love it. And Marilyn says, I don't have a website. We're rural here and I get families through word of mouth. Marilyn, but I think you have a waiting list, don't you? Yeah. I mean, if you have been going, for a while and you have a wonderful waiting list and whatnot, then it's, take that pressure off yourself. At this stage, it may not be required, but think about it as an option that you have up your sleeve if you need it. But if you're a newer educator that is struggling for spots or is only full, hasn't got a waiting list, then it really, is something that you need to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. And now our last question. So before we go to our last question, please post your comments below if you have got a website, because I know that some educators would really value that inspiration and those examples. So pop those below. Okay, our final question tonight, unless we've got any more in the comments, is all about what actually happens with that first interview with the scheme. So this is for potential educators. So if you're already an educator, this wouldn't necessarily apply to you. However, we would love your feedback and your experience as well. So pop that in the comments. So the question that I got was that this lady had just contacted a scheme and the scheme had organised an interview with her. So they were coming around to assess her home. And she just didn't know what was going to happen. She was nervous that her home may not be safe enough. And I, just wanted to answer that for other people who may be worried about the same thing. What is going to happen? Like, what actually happens once you've made that call to connect with the scheme? So, Kath, I know you've got more experience in this part. So what kind of kicks off that process? So I've been with two different schemes, and both schemes had a two-part interview process. So one was a little bit more formal, so they'd give you preset questions for you to go away and think about. So, and they were things like, how do you like to encourage children? And how do you like to connect with children? Those sorts of questions that you need to think about moving forward. How are you going to enjoy working with the children? But then how are you going to build those relationships? And how are you going to actually think of your business as a business? So they were designed to encourage educators to really think and recognize that they were stepping into a business, and was this something that they really wanted to do. And the other was a more informal, really cash chat at the educator's home, just to have a look, answer any questions, answer any concerns. And it was generally just a really nice, half-hour chat where educators got a chance to show us their home, show us any concerns that they had, and we could pick up on anything that may be an issue. And what comes straight to mind is we had the most beautiful prospective educator who was just gung-ho, and she wanted to start, and we got to her place. And it was a gorgeous house, but we walked out the back and she had this massive retaining wall, and the backyard was it just wasn't suitable for a family daycare. It just wasn't, without a lot of work. Of course, you can do anything. Yeah. But my heart just sank, and I had to explain to her how much work was actually going to be doing.
be done because she had these big retaining wall thing that was absolutely gorgeous, but really not suitable for childcare.
Yeah.
And so think of, when you and I'm a lot of schemes do a 2-part interview process like this, but a lot don't as well. They just do the home and they just chat about, they sort of do more of a formal chat at the home, I suppose, as well. But think of when your prospective scheme is coming to your home, have questions for them. You're interviewing them as well.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, something that you need to understand is if they're coming into your home, they're here to actually help you and look around and go, oh, this could be a problem. Oh, no, this is fabulous. Like it's much more of they're there to help you. But remember that you're there to interview them as well.
Yeah. And that's what I try. I was explaining this to her as well, that you're actually paying them.
Yes.
So you need to come up with some questions as well, and you need to feel comfortable with them. I think that's the part that a lot of new educators miss, is they feel like the scheme is just making all of the decisions, which is fair enough, because if you've never done this before, you are putting that in them. But just know that you're actually paying them for a service, and they are going to be registering you. So have any questions that you have available as well. And I do have a whole checklist actually of what to ask your scheme. So I think that's actually in that Family Daycare Academy. But there's a few questions you want to just be mindful of, is asking them what their hourly rate is, what their fees are, whether it's like a per hour fee or if it's a weekly fee, any educator or parent levies, things like that. So just be so when you do have that interview, be prepared as well with some questions that you might have. And another question you might want to ask is actually how many educators they have in this area, and how many enrollments did they get themselves as a scheme, because I've noticed that is fairly much non-existent anymore.
Yeah, and you really want to a lot of schemes, just reading here, Katie's saying that, they said not to do anything to her house before the initial interview. And I think that's because, some educators do go ahead and put a lot of money into their house and then find that, like the retaining wall, it's actually not a suitable home for a family daycare. And you'd be surprised that, those sorts of things come up, sporadically. It's not predictable, if you don't do it. But what our scheme also, both of the schemes that I was with, gave out a booklet, so that you could, these are the different things that they will be looking for, that they expect to be safe, and those. So you can actually read through that and go, okay, well, this, okay, I think I actually meet all of those. You want to have some idea. You don't want to go in totally blind. And that's what Katie says. She couldn't wait though. So she started on the internet and tried to work it out. So if you're going with a scheme, you actually want them to give you something so that you can read through it and know that you're on the right track. You don't want to totally go into it blind.
Absolutely.
And that's part of judging whether you're stepping onto a good scheme as well. If they've got, oh, no, we've got nothing to give you, sorry. Ooh, okay, is this really off on a good start,
Yeah.
And Katie also says about, she'll point about the levy, because she later found that the scheme that she was going with was a really high rate. Absolutely. Read all their policies.
Yeah.
And compare. If you're in an area where there's lots of different schemes, compare schemes. This is your business.
Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
might have this business. And this is one of the reasons Nikki and I are doing our hashtag Educators Can, because we want you to love being an educator and want to be a family daycare educator for the next 20 years. Like, that's what it's all about. And to me, that's all that it's all about. You don't want to step in with the scheme that you're only going to last a month with and have to move on. Like, that's not.
It's a lot of work. And one of with my first course that I put together, the Start Your Own Family Daycare online course, the very first module I put together in that course was, is family daycare for me? Because I found that educators or potential educators were coming in and they're like, oh, let's, we get to buy this stuff, we get to set up the house, it's all going to be fantastic. But in that very first module, I go through, these are some of the realities. This is, it's in your home all the time, and a few other issues to consider, people to discuss with. So if you are still thinking about that, then go and check it out. It's on my website. I think that's really important for people to know that as well. And that initial interview is going to give you more clarity about whether it is for you. Yeah. And the more real the scheme is with you about the realities, the better, because there are some amazing benefits of family daycare. There absolutely are, otherwise we wouldn't do it. But there are some challenges as well. And so we just want to make sure that, it's just like any business. There's always going to be ups and downs. Yeah. And with family daycare, I just want to tell you some of the downs before you go and invest into it. So check that out if you're thinking about it. But also, if you have questions about that you want us to answer, or even some other educators that might be able to answer, leave those questions below, because we're always around, or even private messages. Some questions, I know people don't want their name to it or whatever if they're looking at moving schemes especially. So feel free to message us. I never reveal my sources because I know it's your business, and I'd really love to just support you. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. And connecting as educators as well with someone, with an educator that's outside your scheme.
Yes.
I think that makes quite a difference as well. And there is no need to feel lonely as an educator. And I know that this is something that comes up all the time. Different personalities have different challenges.
Yeah.
I love my days with the children at home, and I really don't miss adult contact. However, there are a lot of educators that really do, just need and crave and want that adult contact. So if you can connect with other educators and have that connection, then how fabulous is that to be able to support each other, find educators that need what you need and give it to each other.
Absolutely. And in fact, if you are looking to find other educators, come and join our group, Being Me in FDC. It's linked to this Facebook page, so head straight to the page, and the Facebook group is linked there. And, put a call out, say where you're from and, what days you work, even to see if there's educators that would like to meet up with you in your area, because, this is what we're doing, and even on Kath's page, Simple Reflect, which the link is also on the page, go and check out there. I know Kath's got a lot of resources and more educators as well who you could connect with. So we want to try and build this base for you so that your questions are answered, you feel supported, and you're able to enjoy the day-to-day of family daycare, which, especially coming up to Christmas, it's so much fun. I love it.
You so love this story.
I've been talking about it since October, so yeah.
You should go and listen to my podcast in here. I chatted about you this week. I was like, Nikki just bubbles at this time of year. She just loves it.
I think I actually started sharing Christmas activity ideas the first week of October. So I was like,
oh my goodness.
Yes.
So Katie says
that was one of them.
Oh yeah. Consider how your family will cope with sharing their home as well. And this is a really great comment from Katie, because a lot of educators find that the way they originally set their home up sometimes isn't necessarily the way it will work moving forward.
Yes.
So don't be afraid to try different things with your family. If that, move different rooms around, have a think about how you can fit in best with your family. And that may mean that you have to rethink everything a couple of months in, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that either. And it took her some 3 months to adjust. It really does take time for our own children to adjust. So don't go into that blindly. Really, I've got some great blogs and some great podcasts on supporting your children. Your children really need recognition and to be supported, because they will be affected by your business, and in a hugely positive way, but there will be some struggles as well.
Yeah.
And Katie says some friends aren't supportive. Has anyone experienced friends supportive at the start and then after a while they stop being supportive of your business? Strains of friendship. Also, friends pitting children in daycare and they're not showing up or giving you the runaround. Very much warn people about taking on friends or family for their business. It's the same as any business. Generally, we don't mix business and pleasure. Is that how we say it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it just, sometimes it really works and sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, it doesn't. And I just, having a clean slate and coming in, interviewing people, professional, setting that professional boundaries right at the start, friendships can be really, really blurred.
Yeah.
I found that I did have friends, I think, that would luncheon, and they would go, "Oh, are you coming luncheoning?" And I'm like, "No, actually, I work from home now, but I've got 4 little bubbas that need to go to bed. I won't be luncheoning with you today." So I did find that, especially being young, when I very first started family daycare, really young, people, my girlfriends didn't understand that I was working. And that would be the one thing I mainly remember actually, is missing out on luncheons. And I gathered friends that had children and we would do morning teas and things like that. So I just sort of adjusted. But that would be the main thing about, I did lose friends when I started family daycare because they expected me to still continue doing luncheons and things like that. And it just wasn't doable for me. And I didn't enjoy it anyway. I wasn't going to take 4 children to a restaurant somewhere in the middle of the day, just when they should be going to bed. Like you just don't do it. And if you've got friends like that, then maybe you're ready to move on from that anyway.
I'm trying to keep a straight face.
It's like Jack in the Box or something. How funny.
Oh man.
Have you found that you've gathered beautiful friends as well? I feel really bad saying that I did lose some friends, but I have gained so many more beautiful friends than I lost.
Oh, absolutely. And I also think it's just in general, like you go through the process of having your own kids, your friendships change and shift. So, I mean, it's the same as business, you know, it kind of things can move. And, I know some friends who've gone into full-time work, not in family daycare. And, I just don't see them very often. It's just the way it goes, really. And things just kind of continue to transform. So that was a really good session. I really feel like people got a lot out of these questions. So next week we're going to be over on Kath's page, over on Simple Reflect. I'll be sharing that on the page anyway, so you'll be able to join us. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below or send us a message, and we'd be happy to answer those during the week or next week in our next segment. And before we leave, it's my birthday on Sunday, so I'm very excited. My birthday week next week. I go for the whole week. Yes, so we will be celebrating. I'm going to have a present to give away next week, so stay tuned. He's such a funny one.
Hi, Eden. How are you? Oh, Eden says happy birthday.
Oh, thanks, Eden. I'm very excited. I love my birthday week. My husband's cooking a barbecue. We're doing a few things. So, yeah, very excited.
Let's have a great week then.
Thanks. So, we will see you all next week. And
we will.
Have an amazing week.
Yes. Enjoy your week. Bye, guys.
Bye.